It's actually very sad. And when this all first started, over 80 days ago, when all this started, I think all of us said, oh, well, this is going to go away. Are they going to be able to cap it? And as 10 days, 30 days, 50 days, 60 days, and you just see not only people's lives are in question or in shambles, really, but also the environment. And it's the whole Gulf Coast has really been affected. So it's just very sad to see this, what we call in New Orleans or on the Gulf Coast, sportsman's paradise. That's what it's known as. And sportsman's paradise has certainly been terribly affected. And it's a very sad thing for me as a New Orleanian, as a Louisianian, to be able to experience this. I miss Katrina. I was not here for that storm. I was in Texas as the Bishop of Austin, but I'm certainly here for this storm. And what has happened through this is that all of the wounds and the fears and the discouragement and the intensity of Katrina has reopened. Because after Katrina, one of the things that I noticed when I got back here just a year ago is that there's still post-traumatic stress. I can see it on people's faces. I can hear it when they talk. There is definitely post-traumatic stress, which has not yet been fully dealt with. Then this tragedy on top of that just reopens all of that stress. That's why through Catholic Charities, we have helped over 17,000 people, and certainly with the necessities of food and money and so forth, but also with counseling and with pastoral counseling and with prayer and trying to help them with case management. And that's so important that we have the opportunity as Catholic Charities to reach out and to be the heart and the hand of Christ, helping those who are very much in need. Economically, it can be very devastating. It will certainly affect the fishing industry for at least a year or two. It'll certainly affect the oyster industry for longer than that, and of course the oil industry now because of the ban on drilling. So these communities really, their bread and butter is the fishing industry and the oil industry, so it will affect them. In terms of spirituality, they are an amazing people. They are resilient, they get discouraged, but they don't give up. They become puzzled and questioning of God, as we all would in circumstances like this, but they are people of faith. And just last week when I was visiting one of the communities, I was listening to this man talk about his whole life has been in the oyster business. He has 5 little kids, a wife, and he says, you know, this is a tough time. And I was saying, yeah, it really is. And he said, but I'm not giving up. He said, God is with us. And he said, you know, I've done this before. And I said, you've done it before? He says, we rebuilt after Katrina. And he said, we can do it. And that's true faith.
You know, fishermen are a really tough lot. They have been through a lot. They have bad fishing years. They have storms. They have floods. They have hurricanes. They know how to do that. They know how to get through those tough times. This is a little different because there are so many unknowns. We don't know when this is going to be finished. We don't know when it is finished, when the well is finally and, you know, capped for once and for all, how long will the oil keep washing ashore? And in a place like Lafitte, where we are today, if they get the wind from the wrong direction, from that southeasterly, southwesterly direction, it could actually push oil into people's homes. And that is a huge concern. You know, these people were impacted by Katrina, Gustav, and Ike, and have rebuilt from that and come back from those storms as they have from many other storms. You know, if oil pushes in, it's going to be really difficult to deal with. And just the not knowing of whether that's going to happen, and if it happens, when is it going to happen, and how long will it last? Just so many variables, I think it's making it very difficult for people to get through. I think that people draw on their faith to get them through times of crisis, and this is no different. I think people had crises of faith after Hurricane Katrina, and there was part of that, why us? I mean, how does this continue to keep happening to what seems to be one group of people in one location? Our clergy have been wonderful in helping people through it. Our crisis counselors have been wonderful in helping connect people with their faith. You have to have something to draw on. You have to have a core of strength that comes from somewhere, and it's bigger than we are. I think that we've all learned, dealing with not only the oil spill but other natural disasters, that this is the time when you draw on faith to help you deal with the uncertainties, and you realize that there is only one certain thing, and that is God and your faith, and everything else comes and goes, and you can't count on anything except that.
The stress, the loneliness, the anxiety, the heartache, it is indeed a tragic situation that we're dealing with, and unfortunately not everyone understands the deeper implications of it. There's an entire industry that is connected to the fishing industry itself. I know a great deal of focus is on the fishermen. This morning we talked with a young gentleman who was a welder, and as he said so eloquently, if they're not fishing, things are not breaking, and if they're not breaking, then there's nothing to weld. And so there is this economic ripple effect, this emotional ripple effect, and it's all around us when we're moving in the midst of these people. We live in a fallen world, and it's tragic and it's unfortunate. I don't see God as aiming specifically at southern Louisiana or at the metro New Orleans area, but bad things do happen to good people. Life is filled with contradictions. This is not a just world, and sooner or later, whether we're younger in life or even older in life, we begin to see that this is the context of our life, of our living, of our environment. Many years ago, at the onset of ministry, I was dealing with a crisis. I don't remember what the crisis was, but an older pastor gave me his ear, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, "John, when the seas are rough, you can be sure of one thing. They'll get calm again. But John, when the seas are calm, you can be sure of one thing. They'll get rough again." And he said, "Son, you have the ship and the captain that you need to get you through all of the calm and rough seas of life." And you know, he was right. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey with the Lord. Not everything has been the way I would like it, but he's been faithful, and all things have indeed worked together for good to him who loves the Lord. That's my testimony.